Hello, 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 hello. It is me, Danny, back for another episode of Quarter Variant at a Time comic book podcast. Roy is in the house as well. Roy, everybody knows Roy. Roy doesn't super need introductions. He's the homie. Roy, you've been watching the big thing right now in comics fandom for what, probably 4 weeks now has been X-Men 97. You've been watching. You liking it?
I have been watching it. So this was a really weird one for me, and of course you already have heard me say all this. But when the original animated series came out, like I think I was like 12 or 13, and I hated it, and I thought it was absolute garbage. And I know that it's like the biggest hot take on the planet, and I do not care. But that cartoon's garbage, and it always was. And then so with everything that I feel about the MCU after that, when this was coming up, I was like, oh boy, like I can't wait to see what a garbage fire this is going to be. And it ended up being like the best thing going on in X-Men for the longest time. I love it. And it has grown. Like I'm behind an episode because my kid wasn't here to watch it with us. And it has now become an entire family thing. And that, of course, is always what I'm looking for. Anything that's going to have us all sit down together, and then obviously the theme song doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was super excited about that. I continue to be like completely wowed by it. It's got flaws. Everything's got flaws, but like this has definitely been a show where I've sat there and I've looked at what they did right and what I thought they did right, and I looked at what I thought they kind of flumped on. And at the end of the day, man, it's not even worth picking apart to tell you what it was and why. Like the show's, it's amazing. I really enjoy it, so I'm stoked for legions of fans everywhere. What's up, Daniel, Daryl, and Steven? I saw was in there first. What's up, all guys?
What up,
Um,
y'all?
so I'm just like I'm over the moon, and like I said, I'm glad that all fans are enjoying it. Like I said, don't ever let my bitter old opinion of something dissuade you from the enjoyment that you get wherever it is. But for me, this was a big pleasant surprise, and man, I don't know. Like I said, I'm one behind. I gotta wait, but it's
So I
the
want to
best.
I want to ask you just because like I know it's like there's a demographic for this. Did you ever watch X-Men Evolution?
Yeah, man.
That was also in your
Yeah,
wheelhouse?
yeah. I thought X-Men Evolution, but I mean, it was a different approach. So that I felt like whenever you tackle something that's more like a Ultimate or an Elseworlds thing, I feel like you have more leeway to play with things. And they didn't start X-Men Evolution as though it were like a 616 continuity of X-Men. This is like bring it back down to like Saved by the Bell, but with power. I was with that. I thought that was pretty good in and of itself. And so I enjoyed Evolution, and then like what else? I didn't really like the anime stuff that the
I was
Iron
gonna
Man
say after
EX
that
movie.
it fell. There was a lot of still content, but I feel like everybody at
Wolverine and
least
the
have.
X-Men, that was the
Yep,
next one.
yep.
That was, I don't know. It had potential, but it didn't execute very well, I don't feel. But I enjoyed seeing them take on like the modern take of the characters.
All right, yeah, and I just heard that. Well, I was hoping X-Men 97 would be such a hit simply in the fact that X-Men was not my jam. I tell people this. I love telling people this story in this lineage. Um, I'm just old enough or young enough. Let's use the word young enough in this scenario. I'm just young enough that Batman the animated series hit like it was ending as I was the age to really enjoy something that dark. So like while I appreciate the show's phenomenal. I've rewatched it. It was not my childhood show.
So
Um,
Goth was drawn on black paper. Batman the animated series is the absolute
it
goat.
is. It really is.
Nothing is better than that.
And I like Batman Beyond was my thing. So then to give people that background, Batman
Batman
Beyond
Beyond
was
was rad.
my era, right? And then it made me go back and watch that. But
Steven knows.
X-Men had the dope theme song. It was on Fox Kids Saturday mornings when I woke up with my bowl of cereal and was ignoring my mama. But what was really my jam was Spider-Man. Spider-Man the animated series.
Yeah.
And I've been telling people, anybody that'll listen to me, my hope is X-Men is so successful that they reboot Spider-Man, not just because, hey, this worked here, let's do it here, But Spider-Man ends on a dang cliffhanger. Anybody who remembers that final season of Spider-Man ends on like some mystery being unraveled about Mary Jane, why she's back. Because remember, she falls through a portal.
You're not talking about the '90s Spider-Man one, are you?
That's what I'm talking about.
Dude, that one ends with Stan Lee making me cry like a bitch every time I forget that episode's about to drop. That's how that show ends.
Well, yeah. But like story wise, like there was more they could have told, but they got the cancellation note and they were like, "Oh, we got to end here." You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You could
Yeah,
tell.
yeah,
And
it's over.
granted, part of that is that was an interconnected universe from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, X-Men were in there, everyone was
X-Men,
in there.
they
Yeah.
showed up. Fantastic Four showed up. It was wild.
Yeah,
But
it was
anyway,
it was.
I just hope we get Spider-Man or like reboot because I didn't love a lot of people love that Drake Bell Spectacular Spider-Man, I think
It
it
was
was.
okay.
And it's all right, but it wasn't the art style wasn't my vibe. Like,
Bro, I watched Spidey and His Amazing Friends. You got
Spidey and
me
His Amazing
twisted.
Friends
Like
is
we
actually, I think, better than that. No disrespect to Drake Bell.
That's fair.
Um,
As long as it's
but
not Spider-Man Beyond.
yeah. But you know what's funny? God, there was
Jokes.
another Spider-Man animated. Oh, never mind. I was going off on a whole nother tangent.
There's a ton of them. And there's an Ultimate Spider-Man. I
Yep,
run that
yep,
for when I have Roland and he stays the week with me, and like when it's like nighttime and I got him in the crib, we run like any one of a set of Spider-Man cartoons, and that's like his go to bed jam. So
yeah,
he's seen them all, and so like I said, I even watched the Spidey and His Amazing Friends. You know, FOC the books. So he's got a little library building up. You know, I really appreciate all that stuff.
Well, and what I think is funny about Spidey and His Amazing Friends, I know Dan says Ben loves it. My nephew loves it. I just find Carrie's granddaughter loves it. I just find it so funny that they decided Miles is not the name they're going to give this young man, and he is Spin.
But then they went on to kind of do that with all of them. Like they
Did
tried
they?
to shuffle it because you have to remember that it's not really. Well, I feel that this time it's more about just avoiding confusion for the targeted demographic, which
Yeah.
is youth. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, how many times have you seen grown adult men argue about like Wolverine, and are you talking about Logan or are you talking about Laura, and all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
weird stuff that you will find out about people when that situation happens.
Yeah. But yeah,
So
I love animation. I was actually just last night, and I'm not going to pretend I enjoyed it a ton. I was watching the newest DC animated Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 1.
mhm.
Um, I liked the story. I could not get past the Archer art style. Like I really do love hand drawn, and I know we're far away from hand drawn, but a lot of digital emulates hand drawn. And
Yeah.
on this, they absolutely just went with that Archer art style, which
Okay.
like no hate on it. It's nice. I'm sure it takes animators a long time to do it. It's just not my vibe, right? So
Right.
like wasn't my thing. But yeah, I love animation. And shout out to everybody in the comments. I see y'all, Michelle,
Yeah, it's
Daryl,
awesome.
Dan, Steven. Thank you so much, guys. Roy, you're here.
I
But
am here.
let me jump over to where we've been, right? And it's mostly been me, right? Roy's been itching to get this done. I actually just looked. I don't think we did a podcast this year, so we have not done a podcast in 4 months because my last FOC that was on the ticker was December. So like, here's what's happened, right? I obviously had a birthday. I turned 33, I believe. I think that's how old I am. I turned 33. Me and my beautiful fiance got married. So me and Lauren got married on it's actually our yesterday was our 2 month anniversary.
Has
I
it
had
been 2 months already?
she allowed me to get a red suit. And I had flash cufflinks. It was awesome. I cannot complain. I do believe I knocked my vows out of the park. So
You
like
did. You did really well.
I wrote them at lunch at work for like a week and a half, like smidge of distractions and stuff like that. Um and then we went on our honeymoon and that was all great. And then I'm not gonna lie to y'all, as life happens, it doesn't all go perfectly. So we came back from our honeymoon and my longtime dog Kayla, who like a lot of times would lay here on the floor actually while we did the show, she crossed that rainbow bridge literally. I think it was exactly a week from the day we arrived.
Yeah.
That took a lot out of me. She was 12. I had her since I was 18. So like, I mean, she was the first thing I did as an adult, right? The first anything I had to look after, I had to care for. Like it was hard. It was really hard. It still is hard. We obviously have two wonderful dogs in this household, but me and Lauren both missed the K Bear a lot, and that was hard on me. I think that put an indefinite pause on what I was trying to do in the sense of I needed to stay busy. I worked. I didn't let myself, think about her, which is sad. But that's where we're at. That's we're healing, right? Like, I know Roy's been moving some things around. Roy's finally getting a little bit more free. And we do hope
Eventually,
that.
I feel like it. So far, I've only been free to run errands, but like even that, you know what I mean, is helpful. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, so hopefully we're back. I mean, life is always going to throw you curveballs. I've listened I've listened to a lot of motivational speaking. I have not quite gone to therapy in this time, being way too candid with y'all, but it's fine. I love y'all. Haven't had a chance to go to therapy in that time, but been listening to motivational speakers and stuff like that. And it's like we can't control the curveballs life's going to throw at us. The best thing, well, to use a super baseball analogy, we can't prepare for the curveballs they're throwing at us, but we can sit back and try to take it, do the best we can with it, which is what I've been trying to do, man. And I'm glad that we're back here. Uh, I'm glad that we're back here. Can I get rid of this guy? How do I get rid of this guy?
yeah.
Doesn't matter. I'm glad we're back here. I'm glad we get to talk comics. I think that was part of how I knew I was slipping a smidge. Was everybody always tells me, depression's coming when you stop being passionate about the things you're passionate about, and I could tell that as much as I liked reading comics, still I wasn't. It wasn't what it was, man. And I'm not gonna lie to you. The last couple weeks have added to the toughness in the sense that not a day goes by that I don't see a Facebook memory of what was the old times.
Yeah.
And Roy knows that as good as
I
anybody.
just watched one just like the night before where it was just you and I, and it
Yep.
looks for all the world like we worked there together, and it felt
Yep.
like all of that. And it's just, yeah.
Yeah. So like, guys, I'm an emotional person. I'm an adult. I work really hard. I feel like I'm very good at my craft. So, when I see things, actually, it's funny, Dan's in the comments right now. Yesterday, I believe a memory came up from 3 years ago. I can't remember if it was an anniversary event or a free comic book day. It makes me think free comic book day because first Saturday in May, right?
Right.
And man, that was one of the first ones where I really took out all the stops. I could see that how many creators I had down that wing. I could see how many people. Dan was chatting with somebody in the foreground. I could see Travis Gibb all the way in the background. We had Joe Pruitt from Aftershock at the time. I could see Robbie Gentry, 50 Cent out there. It was just like it was cool. It was really nice to see, but at the same time, it sucked because like I'm not doing that quite right now. But we'll get there, right? Like everybody has to. I just listened to a motivational speaker that said, if you want to change the world, and he said a lot of things, but one of them is if you want to change the world, you can't be afraid to get stuck in the mud. So maybe
It's
I'm stuck
true.
in the mud right now, but like we'll get out of it. So it's
Yeah.
totally so that's where we've been. And now we're gonna jump into what everybody really wants to see, which is free comic book day preview, because that is literally tomorrow. First Saturday in May every year nationwide. I want to even say it happens outside of the United States, but for the sake of me not being wrong, let's say it's nationwide. So it's Saturday, May the 4th this year. It's kind of double whammy because it's Star Wars Day, May the 4th. And it's
Damn.
free comic book day. So I know Blackbird is going to be doing their thing from 10 to 7. I'm actually very, very excited that I was able to book at least one of my boys. I was able to book Gambit out there. He'll be doing the sketches for kids. I think
That's what's up.
we cut out 50 of them just because if in the world where he ends up having to do more than 50 sketches, it's just going to be, we're just going to say we called it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, that's a lot of work,
it's a
no
lot
matter
of
how
work for a
talented he
man.
is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the sketches for kids will be free. He will be doing commissions for people. His commissions are always affordable. He just recently did Puerto Rico Comic Con, and he did a sick Gambit that I think he turned into a T-shirt and everything like that.
Sweet.
I don't know if he'll have T-shirts there or anything like that, but he'll definitely have his art there. Harry from the UK. Yep, he said it is free comic book day tomorrow in London as well. So it is a
Awesome.
worldwide event. I love Harry. Harry out there in the UK. That's my boy. He's been following me for like 3-4 years now. So
It's
super
awesome.
appreciate it. But free comic book day. Everybody's doing it. So no matter where you are in the country, in the world, find your local comic shop. I know, heck, you know how I know everybody's doing it? Alan Kwa, our homie, is doing a store appearance out in Singapore,
Yeah.
Malaysia. Sorry, Malaysia, where he's from. So that is super cool, man.
He's super cool.
Yeah, Alan's the homie. Sorry, Steven. Yeah, I know that feeling. I actually saw it was 11 years ago that I found out about free comic book day to begin with. Because again, I'm a young head in terms of comics. I didn't read them as a kid. I didn't read them as a teenager. So it's a really cool full circle event for me. I really enjoy it. So I'm gonna show y'all off um, the books essentially. So Free Comic Book Day is its own. I'm not gonna call it a nonprofit entity, but I don't believe Joe Fields makes any money off of doing this. Maybe he sells an ad. Well, maybe the presenting sponsor, which this year is CGC, maybe toss him a couple ducats, but
You can
it's
get
absolutely not.
investors on just about anything, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But it's definitely not the cash cow that it should
Sure.
be in the sense that everybody knows it. Everybody knows the logo. Everybody knows the initials. Everybody knows, um, yeah, see, Steven, yeah, about 2016. My first comic book is DC Universe Rebirth. So I'm gonna scroll through this kind of quickly because it's gonna show you everything. I'm gonna show you my talking points. Obviously, so any of these with the green top right here, Free Comic Day, those are all ages books. So this is like for your kids, right? I'd say probably 12 and under, 10 and under, perfect books. The blue ones are your regular T for teens. So you could absolutely give it to a 14, 13, 15-year-old. You can get it for adult. So we got Unicorn Crush. We got the Worlds of James Tynion, which is awesome. It's from Boom, so it's definitely gonna have something that's killing the children, House of Slaughter, and I believe he has another title from Boom. So it'll be kind of previews of those three titles from James. So this red top means mature audiences. Let's call that like your 17 and aboves. You know what I'm saying? So you've got Hellboy here with a Stranger Things tie-in. Some of these are multi-tied in, so you'll see that on the bottoms. The Free Comic Book Day Special Edition DC, that is DC's absolute power. I absolutely hate to compare it this way because this is what the internet is doing, but for lack of a better term, let's do it. It is DC's ultimate like relaunch. You know what I'm saying? Scott Snyder is going to be writing. I believe Dan Mora is on art. Dan Mora is a phenomenal artist. Um, I'm not saying it's Ultimate Universe in the sense that it's doing exactly what the Ultimate Universe does, but it is kind of their moment of not rebootness, but also like they're like, hey, here is a jumping on point to our world. It is honestly semi like when I jumped into comics 8 years ago at DC Universe Rebirth. It is like, hey, jump in. Maybe you haven't read DC in 10 years. This is a moment to just jump right in and everything. The covers are beautiful. I don't know why they're still being secret about it. I think it's kind of everywhere, but it's called Absolute Power. I am not going to lie to you. I am uber excited for Johnny Quest. Um, I grew up on Boomerang or like Cartoon Network, to be fair, and then Boomerang was an entity of Cartoon Network, and I watched so much Johnny Quest. It was nuts. So I'm and I remember when I first got into comics, Johnny Quest comics were kind of on the outs. Whoever had the rights kind of
Yeah.
lost them, and they were on the outs. So I'm very excited about that. Obviously, Turtles is coming back. Jason Aaron is writing the new Turtles here in probably I think July that'll release. So this is going to kind of catch you guys up. Energon Universe, that is your Transformers, GI Joe, Cobra stuff. It's going to be a hit. Let's be real. Get to your comic book store early, pick that up. Um, Ultimate Spider-Man. I mean, you got to pick that up. So to be fair, we all know uh, DC, Energon, and Ultimate Spider-Man are going to be your three hottest books at your local comic store. So if you show up at 5 o'clock, you may not get those. You show up at 10, you're going to be solid, right? And then there's somewhere in between there where that works. Blood Hunt just launched yesterday, or sorry, Wednesday. So this is the X-Men Free Comic Book Day title for it. Vampire story featuring pretty much anybody from Marvel who's ever had a fight a vampire or has mystical powers. So like almost everybody. They did
Well,
an
they got Kitchen
Encanto.
Sink Man in there.
Yeah, it is. It is
They're
because
gonna
it's
have
literally like
Kitchen Sink Blood Hunt 1 through
Miles
5.
is in there, and it's like, why is Miles in there? It's like, oh, he fought a vampire last year, like one time,
He
So it's
hung
like,
out with Blade. He did.
yeah,
I have that issue.
he's got the skills. He's trying to get with Bloodline. Like who knows? Um, so this is an Encanto and Turning Red. So it's gonna be a flip book. Turning Red will be on the back side, Encanto will be on the front side. Those are both Disney Pixar properties. Witches of Brooklyn. That's another all ages property. The Pokemon one does not have the banner, but as you can all guess, that is going to be an all ages property. Then you have a mature audience, kind of like horror manga called Gannibal. Then you have the Valiants, which is Valiant. Like that's you got Bloodshot in there. You got Ninja X or Ninja X. Is that
Ninja.
EXO? Is that EXO Man of War?
That's EXO.
And then who's this other chick?
I'm gonna be real with you. I have no idea.
There you go. So we got three people we at least know on that cover. So
I'm
that's a
surprised that I don't know who it is, but like
right. You're my Valiant guy. I'll tell
but
you, it's
yeah,
not
but like
Shadow
only
Man.
like old school, like 92, like that Valiant, like Bendis and Bob Layton and Solar Man and the Atom, like the original stuff. Like I
Yeah.
know a lot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cursed Verse, which I believe is American mythology. They have a lot of rights for like kind of cheaper things, so that'd be cool. Another kids book, Snoopy, Beagle Scout Adventures. I love Snoopy. Peanuts is my jam. Uh, Ultra Duck is an all ages one. That's cool. We're getting a lot of all ages.
Looks pretty rad,
He kind
actually.
of
I'm not
does,
gonna
right?
lie, dude.
And then we got the Cursed. This is Archie Horror presents The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Cursed Library. Um, I do love this. I hate that there's no cover art on it, but I do love this Boombox 10th anniversary extravaganza. Boombox has done some great titles like Lumberjanes. They recently did Zawa. I think they're doing
Okay.
another one recently. They're really cool because what Boombox is essentially is like, hey, adults can read this, but as you can tell by the green label, it's like this is totally cool for teens and preteens and stuff like that. The reading, there's nothing inappropriate that a young kid can't read, but the reading level is probably about middle school. So if they're high on the reading level chart, like you can totally still get that for them. Obviously, you see Star Wars. It's gonna be Star Wars Day, so you knew you'd have one of those. Star Wars: The Young Jedi Adventures. That's all ages. And then if you notice, that's a flip book with Plants vs. Zombies. Your middle grade reader for DC, I really hate that they do this, but this is how good I am at my job. Please, everybody, just appreciate it for 10 seconds. The middle grade reader is going to be Barda. So that will be a big Barda middle grade. It'll be the preview for the graphic novel. Those are the same as like the Diana and Nubias or Diana, Queen of the Amazons. Those are really good. And then the young adult one is going to be Barkham Asylum, which I think is very funny. It's a Ace and Joker's dog are like traversing Arkham Asylum. It sounds very funny. That's also going to be a preview for a graphic novel. Mad Magazine is coming back. That cover has Alfred E. Newman doing the Superman pose, so it's like
Ah,
tied in with DC. I thought that was very funny that Mad is going back to a comic book format because I did not know this. Mad Magazine used to be a comic book format, and then the Comic Code Authority came, and obviously that dictated what they could put in it. So they turned into a magazine because the Comic Code Authority does not touch magazines. And
that's
now
correct.
we've come full circle. We are at comic size Mad Magazine.
Dude, that's nowhere near as dope as the Penthouse comics. That book rules.
Oh yeah.
The art, the level of art and the storytelling and those is amazing. And the
Yep.
articles are good too.
Yep. And that spread.
Yeah, I was
Um,
pleasantly surprised. But
so this one does not have the little title on there, but I would say this is absolutely in all ages. This is gonna be Disney Villains Maleficent. This whole series has come out already, but there's a first issue preview, which I think is cool. Atlas, so it's like Fantagraphs and everything like that. You got that for their old school fans. Investigators is always a hit on Free Comic Book Day. Those guys have Scholastic graphic novels, if I'm not mistaken. Romeo versus Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare adventure. So that sounds cool. Obviously, Overstreet always gives you that. Overstreet is essentially the Beckett, but for comic books, it's like a price guide. That book will not be a price guide. That will be some stories. Unico Awakening. This is from Scholastic, so it makes me think it'll be a Green Banner here. This is Roy's jam right here, Monster High.
I love Monster
New
High.
Scaremester. This is all ages as well. There we go with some manga. It's Initial D. Even though this is Mad Cave, I'm gonna kind of call this manga Gotcha Man.
Gotcha
It-
Man is
I-
way old school manga, dude. That's like battle. It was called Battle of the Planets
That's
here.
because I totally remember this, and I remember it feeling like an anime, right? Like when
Yeah,
I
it
first
was. You
watched
probably
it.
remember it as Battle of the Planets. It's another
Yeah.
one of those things like Speed Racer and Robotech that got chopped up from different anime
Yep.
and piled
Yep.
all together. And Gotcha Man is one of
So
those
even though I
source
believe this will
animes.
be a left to right comic book, like let's be real, it's very anime inspired. Let's just go there. I'm very excited for Flash Gordon, not just because,
Sorry.
Flash Gordon is just dope in general, but Jeremy Adams is writing this. Jeremy Adams, written tons of Green Lantern animated stuff. He wrote the Green Lantern animated show for DC.
Carlos
He's
has.
written Flash. He's written. He's currently writing Green Lantern, and he's about to write Flash Gordon. So I'm very excited for that. Marvel Voices. This is Marvel Voices Pride, I think, or maybe just Marvel Voices in general. Free Comic Book Day. There's our boys, Spidey
That's
and his
cool.
amazing friends. Then we do have a Star Wars proper book. This is not your all ages, but like your
I
everybody
like
book.
that.
I am very excited for Popeye. I find it interesting that they went with a manga style a little bit. But anything to kind of keep old things relevant, right? Like if that's what Popeye needs to, and like when you really think of him and what is his name, Bluto, when you think of
Yes.
them, they are very larger than life characters. So I guess that anime manga style like actually works. Just nobody would have considered that, 50, 60 years ago.
Right.
Loud House is an all ages book. Asterix is an all ages book.
Asterix been around forever.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like I totally remember that. That's Paper Cuts, which is now Mad Cave. The Night Librarian is all ages. Max Meow and Katie the Cat Sitter is all ages. That's really cute. Tons of Strange. They didn't make it a mature, but it's definitely gonna be a little spooky. Is that the Aquabats? The Aquabats, baby.
It is the Aquabats.
I feel like I am one of. I mean, we are some of the few people that will
I'm in there.
100% acknowledge the Aquabats. Doctor Who is getting one. Interestingly, it is all ages, even though I think Doctor Who is always. I've always thought of that to be something like a kiddo isn't going to fully understand, but that's beyond me. We got a new Conan from Titan. That one's going to be mature. And
Conan's the best thing in comics right now.
I was just going to say, Titan has not been scared to go brutal with their Conan because Marvel didn't. Marvel went a little soft.
Well, there's two different Conan projects running right now, and they are both phenomenal.
Yep. And one, I love that they're printing a Savage Sword on newsprint magazine style.
Oh, bro, it smells and feels amazing.
Yeah, the cover is glossier than it would have been back
then.
then.
The cover is full magazine glossy.
Yeah.
Well, I got mine right here.
Yeah, Roy's gonna grab his while I scroll down. But Conan has been phenomenal. Like,
this
is a great opportunity.
In my damn box. So
yeah, the free comic book day one is a great time to jump in because Conan has been phenomenal. Titan is publishing both, but the magazine, which is Savage Sword, and the regular Conan Barbarian. Far Cry video game by Ubisoft is getting the Tokyo Pop treatment, so it'll be a little bit more anime manga style. Far Cry has had comics in the past, I believe, put out by, oh my god, maybe Titan. So this should be a different take on it. Street Fighter versus Final Fight. Now I feel old because yes, Street Fighter has had free comic book day books forever, but gosh, Final Fight, that is something that absolutely just hit me in the nostalgia feels of I totally remember Final Fight, like absolutely. And I was so young at that time that I didn't even realize, oh, these are all Street Fighter clones. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I didn't realize that. We've got Dying Inside by, I know you probably can't read this, Roy, but can you guess which member of Fall Out Boy is writing this book?
So there's more than one dude in there, right? The who's the bassist?
Yes, Pete Wentz. Because there's really only two of. When you really think about it, there's only two of them that anybody knows their name. It's Pete Wentz,
got it right.
And Patrick Stump, who wears the funny hat. Always wears the funny hat.
Okay,
he's gonna drive a cabbie. But Pete Wentz is co-writing this book, and then we do have a One Piece book, which I think is really cool. With One Piece super blew up probably at the beginning of the year. Actually, no, yeah, it would have been the beginning of the year with the TV show on Netflix, which I've heard is amazing. So One Piece is on there, and that is all. I forget how many titles. Does this article tell me how many titles? It does not, because that would be too good of. 48 titles. So that is all 48 titles. Before we move on, Roy, what is the two that you're most excited about?
Probably that Conan one and Monster High, baby.
I love it.
The rest of dude, I mean, unfortunately, we're gonna get to it at some point, but I'm in a rut with where comic books is right now, and so everything good that I'm really reading is pretty offbeat and independent. And like what I really love about the Conan, whether it's the Titan stuff or I can't even remember who does the other one, I collect them both. So whether you're going one way or the other, if you wanted that old Conan stuff, like that's what they're giving you. So it's exactly what you expect, and I really appreciate that right now. You know what I mean? And it just so happens that old school Conan is something that that I can get down with. So
yeah. And that to answer Steven's question, yes, they are going with high grade covers and newspaper interior.
Yeah.
I think part of that is just like if you go newspaper cover to like Diamond might wreck it. I think Titan is still shipped by Diamond, so like you're running that risk of Diamond just like not knowing.
That newsprint paper is so beautiful. I keep waiting for the black to come off on my thumbs, dude. I love it so much.
If Titan moved to Lunar, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that move because it would save them money because Lunar actually knows how to ship magazines.
Yeah.
Diamond does not know how to ship magazines. They just
Yeah,
throw them
it's
at the bottom
amazing.
of boxes. Yeah, Roberto, Doctor Who is a free comic book day book this week. My
Yeah.
two that I'm excited about, obviously, I love Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder's Metal and Batman New 52 run is pretty much what got me to love picking up weekly periodical comics. So Absolute Power is a for sure for me. And then I'm excited for the Worlds of James Tynan
Yeah.
because James is just, I'm not gonna lie to you. Something is killing the children. House of Slaughter, not my jam. Not my
Yeah.
jam. I understand they're Eisner winners. I understand probably biggest selling independent book of the last like 4 years, 5 years. Not my jam. But I could tell you I've read a lot of James Tynion things that I love. Universal Monsters Dracula, phenomenal. Nice House on the Lake, probably the best Twilight Zone, non-Twilight Zone thing I've ever seen or read. And Alvaro Martinez Bueno is the homie, so no hate there. Um, I liked Blue Book, but I did not like the art. That's not James's fault. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited. Those are my two that I'm excited about. And with that being said, Roy, we finally get to talk a little bit about what we've enjoyed this year. So I'll start because I know you.
I
I'm,
did find something positive to go with. Because I wasn't gonna come back and just like drag him over the coals right away by how get off my lawn I am about it all.
so my positives. I technically only have one DC book in here, and it is very odd in its nature to begin with. So I'm actually very excited to show off mine. Let's do one at a time each. How about that? So we get it back and forth. Give Manny a
Uh
unicorn crush.
we can, but like mine goes a little different because I'll just go ahead and tell you like the one thing that I have that brings me the most joy is foils.
You know,
And they
that's
got,
so fun.
they got your boy by yeah. Well, so this is just the quickest
That's
stack
just
I
your
could pull.
foils.
Yeah, and this is not even remotely everything just from this year. That's all foil. Like they got me so bad, and I do have that foil, but because mine is just a showcase with no context, maybe it's best if you just go ahead and go first and talk about what you like.
So I'm excited. I love the foils. I'm not gonna lie. I have a flash foil sitting somewhere in my pile of books.
Oh
But
man,
this is a mixture of hey, I love the foils. Um, I
yeah,
mentioned to y'all, I grew up with Boomerang. That sounds weird because then you're gonna be like, oh, so you grew up with real Space Ghost, and it's like, no, false. I did not. I grew up with
no,
Space.
you wouldn't have.
I grew up with George Lowe, and Andy Merrill and C. Martin Crocker doing Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which as an adult, I totally realized how wild that show was. They were literally just using pieces of animation from that show.
Yeah.
Like that's why Zorak is always just like this. Like they're literally grabbing slices of the animation and being like, here we go, voice over it, and we're gonna move the mouth with like new animation. Phenomenal, phenomenal.
Have you ever read how they got those interviews?
No, was it under false
Mm.
pretenses? Because that's what
Yeah,
happened. Okay,
it's
and then
under false pretenses and a dude dressed up like Space Ghost.
yes, that I did see because the guy who co-created is Andy. Part of it is Andy Merrill. He currently is an Amazon driver, so unfortunate that animation and voice acting did not pick him up because he's also the voice of Brack. So he was Brack in that show, and he was Brack in the Brack show. But he would get in a Space Ghost suit and do the interview in theory and try to use some of the mannerisms that they're gonna do over
Yep.
it. That guy's a legend, right? Like in
Yeah.
the sense that he didn't need to do all that, but we got an amazing show because of it. Um, the
His interview
next
with David Byrne was amazing. That episode is one of my favorites.
one of my favorites is I think it's the first ever episode, and they get Mike Judge, and I think this is right before Beavis and Butthead blew up. Like Beavis and
Yeah.
Butthead was on the air.
I'm still
Um,
liquid television.
yep, and you could totally tell that Mike Judge has 0% idea what's going
Mm-hmm.
on. Like, and I think that's what it like, especially in the first season. Like nobody had any idea what was going on. You know,
Yo,
like
I'm so old that I had a VHS like compilation of like just different cuts from Space Ghost that was like, we put it in the VCR when we were up, like this stuff's classic. And
it, it,
I wanted to read this. It's in my high hopes pile,
it
and it
is.
crosses over with my foil love. And man, this cover is out of
I
park,
bought
dude.
I bought myself a blank, and I bought the black blank, like the space blank, because I thought that looked cooler. That does make it more difficult in the sense of like I gotta find somebody that's willing to work with white pen or
Yeah.
colored pencil. But I'm excited because I actually have had 2016, when I first got into comics, they did Hanna-Barbera did a whole line of comics with DC, and one of them was called Future Quest, which starred Space Ghost as like that main
Yeah, I remember
antagonist. So
Future Quest.
I have a issue of Future Quest with Space Ghost on the cover, signed by George Lowe.
Oh, cool.
He was one of the first guys I ever met that charged for his signature, right? I think he charged like 10, maybe 15. And I remember at the time being, a 20-something-year-old kid
I
with
was
not
still
that
in high
much
school
money
too,
in
Carlos.
college. And I remember being shocked, like, screw, damn, man, I gotta pay this guy, $15. But I paid him, and he was the first guy that ever I said, oh, so this is what it's like for a signature to be worth it. Because not only did he sign my book, right? He's first of all a very crude old man from a previous era, let's just call it, right? And he goes, well, do you want me to sign the inside? So he literally finds an ad on the inside. I'll never forget this. The ad is for a razor, like a Schlick razor or whatever, and it's like a razor man. Like it looks like your normal razor, but he's got arms and legs. And there's a razor next to him that has his head down because he's like a generic razor. And freaking George Lowe starts doing word bubbles. Like the big razor's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I slept with your
Oh,
your
cool.
wife, other razor man," and the other razor's like, "It's okay."
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like he's like, "She had cottage cheese," like, and I'm just like, "Oh my god!" And then
Wow.
he's sitting here as he's signing, telling me stories about in the recording booth and everything. I'm like, all right, cool. You're gonna
Super
charge
rad.
me for your signature. I'm getting an experience, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not just so I was cool with it. So Space Ghost is literally my jam. Yeah, Coast to Coast was the stuff, Carlos. Like it was the stuff. George Lowe is the best. I have a podcast opening George Lowe. I paid him for.
That's super
I
cool.
believe it. Um,
That's super cool.
I did love Last Mermaid. I don't even know how to uber explain this book. It's all done by Derek Kim. Art and story. Art and
Science, bless
story.
you.
Thank you. And what's funny is there is actually only one so far, 2 issues in. There's only one main character. It is the mermaid. She does have an axolotl that is like her companion. It is actually the cutest axolotl I've like ever seen in my life. But there isn't like a ton of dialogue, right? Like she is speaking to the axolotl, and the axolotl obviously cannot speak back because it is not a speaking, whimsical animal. But like the art in this is beautiful. It's what I call an easy read. Like you can read this in
Yeah.
bed and not be like, oh, I don't remember what happened. So
Right.
I can't recommend Last Mermaid enough. It is in this weird. It's not quite a magazine format because it's not as tall as a magazine, but pick it up if you can.
Can you
I
just
have
arbitrarily throw around the word prestige? It's like a prestige
yeah. They're like it's
format.
special. It's a special size, and it's what I do like is it's only $3.99. So despite that weird size, they didn't try to charge you more for it. I can live with that.
Polite.
Blow Away literally just came out like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Boom's been hit or miss with their indies. There's some great stuff. There's stuff nobody's picking up. I liked Blow Away because I love the mystery of the deep cold. I love the mystery of Antarctica, Alaska, and the whole idea here is this lady's in Antarctica shooting nature photos. Some really rare bird is gonna hatch, right? And she's like the person that's got to, she'll get paid really well if she gets the first pictures of these birds.
Gotcha.
So it sounds really boring at first in the sense that she is camped out in Antarctica with like her lens pointed up at the nest. She's got cameras that give her a 24-hour feed in her little like tent. But at the beginning of the story, she starts realizing she's super bored and she starts seeing two climbers climbing like the peak right next to where the thing is. So she starts giving herself entertainment by like watching these guys for like a couple days because it takes a couple days to climb Everest.
Sure, yeah.
So she's watching them, and then she sees on her feed at night that they made it to the top while she was sleeping. And then as soon as they made it to the top, there's an argument, and one of them pushes the other one off the side of the freaking cliff. So this is all issue 1 because issue 2 hasn't even come out. So then she goes, "Oh my god, I'm the only person out here, only person who saw this, only person out here. So I have to go see if they're okay." And when she gets to the other side of the cliff, it's like nothing that she expected, and that's kind of how issue 1 ends. I like that. And it doesn't tell you at the end of issue 1, it's not like you literally just see it. She's like, you don't know. So I'm ready for issue 2 to be like, oh crap, what did she see over there?
Oh, well, I like it when they get a reaction out of you like that.
Yeah,
That's one of my favorite
So
things.
then I'm gonna go. My one DC book is Primer. I'm very proud of this in the sense that this was put out at Free Comic Book Day 2 years ago, and B, the graphic novel for this came out a year ago. So like a kid's graphic novel, much like Trey Walker's Mongrel. You know what I'm saying? Just a little digest size. But what I thought was genius for them, and you kind of get this. You got kids.
I do.
It did release it. So 4 issues is what will take up this to get that right.
Okay.
So they released it like this, and it says even at the top, the best-selling story in a new format because it's not a new,
Yeah, they don't want to rope you in if you already,
yeah. But this is cool because if you like collecting comics, and let's say you want to get your daughter into collecting comics the collecting way, right? Not just reading. Reading is great. We love that. But if you want to go once a month to the comic store and your daughter gets to grab a book and hold a book and have that same feeling you do, that was why I took a chance on this. I had told Dave to up the orders on this a little bit, even though it is a reprint. I said I think we're going to do well with this. I think last I checked, we only had one issue of one copy of number 1 and one copy of number 2 left. So I'm like very proud of this because this is different. This is different. Comic book collectors do not want reprints, or well, for the most part, do not want reprints.
For the most part,
this has stood on its own story wise and how it connects with kids. So I'm very, very happy with this, and I'm reading as an adult, and I love it.
It's a solid recommendation.
And then I got to give shout out to my homie Jared LaJuan. First of all, he did Dryfoot, the first comic book I ever read that had Cuban people in it, Cuban heritage. I mean, that meant a lot to me, right?
Yeah.
It was in Miami. There was Cuban flags. There was cafes. Like, I love Jared for that, right? And he's not Cuban. He's Mexican. Like, so I can always thank him for that. And then I'm really proud of him now because he's gotten a chance to work with a Wave Blue World to do this Mesos series, which is like a Mayan Aztec story. So what better person to write this than a Mexican American? I mean, if anybody knows Jared LaJuan's story, the dude's he's one of those guys that every day he has to thank, or he's thankful for all those people in high school and middle school, as he puts it, that told him he wasn't going to do nothing, that he'd be dead by now. I mean, we can relate to that, and so for him to be making a name for himself in comics is beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then for him to be able to be writing something that is so near and dear to him, I had to pick it up. I had to support it, and I have to give it a shout out right now because I do love when people. This is a passion project, right? Like when you see somebody say, "Oh, I have a passion project I'm working on," sometimes it's just a good idea that they really want to jump in.
Sure,
this isn't just a good idea. This is the guy's culture,
Yeah, it's what.
So I'm excited.
Right. It's always so much better.
Yep. So I'm excited for Mesos, and I'm very proud of Jared LaJuan out there in Texas.
Plus, Mesoamerican mythology is hella underrated. They have some of the best stuff in there, and so it would be nice to see it, hit print and spread around.
And I got to give credit to the guys at Wave Blue World. I believe it's Tyler Chin Tanner and his wife. Tyler wrote the first Mesos, which no issues, right? But he was not a Hispanic person writing it. So kudos on him and his editorial team and his wife and everybody to be like, hey, we can continue this, but let's put it in the right hands, and I have to appreciate that.
Yeah.
As he is the owner of the business. Why does he need to give anything to anybody, right?
Sure.
He can just do it. But he had that foresight, and I'm really excited. I love that.
Wherewithal to not be a piece of shit. Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. I love that too. Yep. It's very rare that white guys do that. So kudos to him, man.
Yep. So what you got, Roy?
Nothing, dude. Everything I hate, everything I read.
Let me see, because I know what you pick up. So I just want to let's see. Trying to think what you might have read.
Nothing. I haven't read any of it.
So what? All right, this is what we'll move on to FOC, but I do want to ask you this because you're the X-Men guy. Thoughts on Fall and Rise?
I haven't read it. I read the first issue of each one, and it's so garbage. I can't make it through any of it. I hate it all. All the miniseries are lame. I'm months behind on reading any of it. I'm just collecting it so I can have the whole thing, and then I cannot wait.
So I totally understand that some people are loving this X-Men stuff, but as a retailer, I'll tell you right now, there's too much of it. When I hand somebody a book and they ask me, the moment has come when you hand somebody their book and they say, "Hey, when's this over?" They're into it too deep to say I don't need it anymore, but they're definitely looking forward to the end.
Well, because there's Fall of X and all of this, and dude, the new books don't start until August. Well, so it's gone on for so long, and the problem with what's going on is that it's been going on for so long in circles. and giving like Emma Frost diamond knuckles that spray. I can't. I
She's
just
married to
can't, and
she's
I'm
married
not
to Iron
for
Man,
it.
bro.
And I'm glad for anyone who is, but I can't do it.
Iron
It's
Man is
fun.
an X-Men book now.
What's that?
Iron Man is an X-Men book.
Yeah, thank God I have to collect that garbage so that I can have all of the Fall of X stuff. But the Kale News got the covers, so
Yeah,
like
and he's been
that's the only reason that I'm buying it. Like I haven't read not one single issue of Invincible Iron Man, not one, and I can tell you how many I own, and it's disheartening.
I'll tell you my biggest complaint about it, and it's the complaint I've had since 2019, is it's too much. It's like, as a publisher, as Jonathan Hickman or whatever, it's too much. Um Fall and Rise was fine, right? If that's how you wanted to end your story, that's cool. Why did you need to release X-Men Forever? Why did you need to release, like all these other X-Men? You got Weapon X-Men. Like, couldn't you have waited? Like, I don't know.
That made me so sad.
We could have a whole podcast about why there's too many X-Men titles, but like that'll be
I can
for
tell you this: in August they're launching 3 more with like 9 other backup titles, and then Tom Brevoort is already saying on his Substack that if it were up to him and if sales go well enough, they'll launch a new X-Men book every month. He wants to start giving solo books to characters. Can you imagine Colossus or like Cannonball like carrying a solo book? Like I love Colossus and I love Cannonball, but what are you gonna? How long do you think that ongoing is going to last? And that leads me to the problem I have with Marvel Comics in particular is it doesn't have to last because statistically they'll just sell a higher number one by canceling and rebooting the book with the exact same team.
Well,
same character, same team, new number one, sales go up by issue 5. Don't even get me started on Captain Marvel.
Oh, dude, that's his own thing. But I will just say I find it crazy that nobody, again, we're just guys who get paid nothing to sit here and talk about this.
Yeah,
there are guys in a Marvel executive boardroom, right, who get paid probably over north of $100,000 to make these decisions. And my biggest thing is, how have they not said, yeah, anything more than 5X titles is too many at one time? And 5 is probably too many. 5 is probably too many. You probably need to exist about 3, right? 3.
It'd be nice 3 or 4. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I can understand 3 or 4, especially if you have a variance of teams. Both the characters and the creators and what's going on. Like, you could probably push 4 solid X-Men books without much of a problem.
Yeah,
because then you don't have if you don't jam it, make it impossible to not. Like that's the other thing is they make it almost impossible for you to not collect something else just so you can see how it ties in.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating, and it doesn't see, and it's still, like I said, it never goes anywhere. But I want to be done being negative about it because, like I said, I hate to come back after 4 months and sound like I've been just like in a cave because it's not that bad, And I love me some foils, and this goes back to when I was a kid. Yeah, it goes back to when I was a kid in the 90s. You know what I mean? I was 10 in 1990. Like I was born in 1980, so you can see me go, and how the industry went by the decade.
Yep.
And so, like any of those gimmick covers are always gonna get me, dude. Make it triple gatefold, die embossed with the foil. Like I gotta have it, man. Sideways art inside. I don't care. I'll flip that book whatever way you want me to do it. But so they got me by the stones with the foils, man. And if I had all the, like you said, I'm moving a lot of stuff around in my life and in my house right now. A little hard to get to my boxes of comics to continue to dig for foils. But in about 3 minutes, I was able to pull out this mini. So
probably,
I'm gonna walk you through a couple of these.
Secret Wars for sure in there.
Yeah.
Space Ghost.
Yep. So obviously I'm not gonna spend too much time on Space Ghost because we looked at it. It's amazing. You should check it out. I am an Unknown Comics slut. I'll say it. I don't care. And so I ordered a bunch of books from him again. Darren Hutchinson is the man. Unknown Comics is one of the best group of people out there. Love those guys and never have anything less but great things to say about them. Especially when they be sending me these foils.
Ooh.
So this is Nakayama. I know Roberto has this one. He's probably got both the ones that I have. But and I couldn't even tell you what issue they're for because I'm so bad about this stuff. And then because these were bonus books because I ordered a high enough amount.
Oh, nice. I like
Yeah,
that
and then
Psylocke.
so
Yeah.
there's another foil that's DNA. And it's Psylocke. This is amazing. And he's such a nice guy. I love Nakayama.
Oh, Nakayama's the best, man. Oof.
I did
I
it.
did love that. The Final Vengeance.
Yeah, I did it. That's dope, bro. Haven't read it.
Yeah.
Deadpool
Cool.
in here.
Kelly.
This thing was amazing. Haven't read it.
I
Hope you know all about this.
got you that one this week. That one's
Yes, and I
a little
appreciate
late,
it.
but
Now,
we got it.
Gargoyles is something that I do read, and that's another one of the things that I've got positive to say about comics is a lot of the reboot world is going a lot better this time around than it did. And like, you know, obviously I'm talking about the Inner John universe. Like those comics are pretty solid, and Dynamite there, if you really enjoy those properties like Gargoyles and Thundercats, and I also collect Darkwing Duck and Negaduck. I collect both of those. If you liked those properties, man, they are just shoveling you exactly what you want. So I can highly recommend those. That's satisfying, but your mileage may vary because that's my age group. You know what I mean? That this is targeted at me. That's why there's 800 covers because I'm 45 and I can afford them, or they think I can.
Yeah.
But so that Clayton, so the Gargoyles is great stuff, man, and they kill it. Like I stuck with Lucio Perillo through like 12 straight covers. I got to go with the Master Alan Qua on all 6 covers of the Dark Ages.
Yep.
And Clayton Crane, while not my favorite human being, is a damn talented artist. So I'm more than happy to collect his covers on this one.
Yep.
In the world of just facsimiles,
That one was sick. Yep.
facsimiles make me happy because these are books that maybe you can't afford to own. You know what I mean? Or maybe you do own them, but they're slabbed or they're delicate and you don't really want to be messing with them. You know what I mean? So I like having these, and these are really cool. And finally, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the Days Future Past cover was the first time that I bought one of these facsimile foils that I actually had the OG book for it. And I was like really excited, like, So there's and then Dazzler's my homegirl. You asked me if I ordered the poster, I ordered the foil. I want it all. Dazzler's my girl. And no, I don't want to talk about Taylor Swift at all.
Are you sure?
At all. Makes
so
me
when
so
that casting happens, we just bring Lauren on the show, right? And just
so sad. I mean, I'm glad for whoever's glad for it, but it's not me.
Dude, that's so like I know a lot of people in the comments are doing Secret Wars, whether foil or not foil, right? They're literally facsimiling all 12 or all 10. Crisis on Infinite Earths is where they're gonna get me. Yes, I already own a soft cover for Crisis on Infinite Earths. I own the $150 box set of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
That's insane.
But I am absolutely it's like sitting. So I hope it's not in the garage simply because the glue will probably who cares? Doesn't matter. I own it. But I will 100% be buying 12 issues of Crisis on Infinite Earths facsimile.
I'm in there.
And I cannot promise my wife that I will not buy more than one copy of Crisis on Infinite Earths facsimile issue 8, which is the issue where the Flash dies.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
You're gonna have one that it's okay to get covered in tears.
Yes.
And then one. Okay.
So
it's good
thinking. I think I have this right in the sense that I think I own 4 copies of that book currently. The issue where Flash died.
Okay. All right. I feel
one of them is signed and slabbed by George Perez.
Oh yeah.
Because that's my boy, and he colored the issue. I mean, then I have one signed but not slabbed by George Perez, where I went old school, and I did not have him sign the outside of the book. I kindly asked him. I opened to the page where Flash dies, where we've all kind of seen it. He disintegrates, and his mask is there.
I love it.
And I asked him if he would sign that page because it's a very important page to me. And he did. He signed it right in the margins. It looks beautiful. So that's like the copy I can open and still kind of look at, right? Cool. But I want a copy that I can read because I ain't flipping through multiple pages on that. You know what I'm saying? I read it in the graphic novel. I think I read it digitally once. But that is my vintage book, right? I wasn't alive when it came out, but it is like my book.
Oh, sweet.
Ryan Rumley, I gotta give out a shout out. He
Steven's got
probably
some cool stuff.
put like a smiley face in there or something because this system doesn't like working. But I gotta give a shout out to Ryan Rumley. Ryan Rumley works with Scott's Collectibles. He's got his own business with Nocturnal Rabbit. They do some really cool exclusives with like the Miranda Brothers and stuff like that. But
Nice.
Ryan is one of the hardest work. If you've ever gone to a convention and you've seen Scott's Collectibles, you've likely seen one of three people, really four. Mike Hinson started to be there a lot, but you've really seen one of three people. Daniel Scott, who is the kind of short, bearded British man. um, James Dawson, who is the former Navy SEAL
Yeah.
looking Marine Corps, big guy.
Yeah.
Or you've seen Ryan Rumley, who is the nicest, and all three of them are nice. But
Yeah, they're
Ryan,
all super nice dudes.
yeah, Ryan is just the man. I think at MegaCon he was working with Inhuck, Mel Milton, Alan. He was on that line of people right there. So
Yeah, I believe
Ryan is
so.
the best. It's always nice when Ryan pops in. I hope to see him sometime over the summer at one of the Fan Expo shows. I've been telling Dino I really want Denver. I went to Denver for my honeymoon. I know downtown Denver well now. It is a cool city, and if I can get to go, and Alan's going to be at Denver, so like Denver is my show I'm aiming for right now.
Just
With
go to
that,
Colorado, bro.
dude, Colorado was cool. I'm not gonna lie, Denver is Orlando light, or it is cold Orlando or mountain Orlando. Yeah, it is tourist central. Like they're just like, oh, this is what tourists want, and this is what tourists want, and this is what tourists want. But it's cool. First of all, it's cool to be in a place that's not like a zillion degrees and you're dying of heat stroke. So like, let's start there. And secondly, it's cool for multiple reasons. So I already told Dino I want to throw my hat in on Denver for seeing Alan and Ryan and all the homies. Um, let's jump to FOC real quick so that way we can go to our final thoughts. I am going to show you guys how to do FOC as if you do not have a Pullbox account, because I noticed I've been showing you guys how to see DC through Pullbox. And if you do not have a Pullbox account, you're not going to see DC. It's just not going to happen. So let's just assume the majority of y'all do not have. Denver's a big show. Matina, Kale, Allen, Bjorn, who also did a really sick Space Ghost cover. Actually, this is Matina. This is Francisco Matina, Live Rock. And then Bjorn did an equally amazing one. Pepe Larraz, I believe, is doing Blood Hunt. So like all these guys are like the big deal. So like, and if you can't make it, so I'll just mention this real quick. Shout out to everybody involved. If you can't make it out to Denver and you need signatures from some of these guys, either reach out to Agents of Slabs, Nocturnal Rabbit. Those are going to be your top two that I'm going to tell you to reach out to because they'll have mail-in programs. If you're in Central Florida, Agents of Slab, we can get it to Dino very easily. And if not, Scott's Collectibles should be able to do that. But shout out to Ryan at Nocturnal Rabbit and Scott's Collectibles because those guys are like grade A. Just right up there with everybody that we've worked at conventions. Zero complaints.
It's not only that, but like it's just as interesting meeting for me, like as a guy on the outside who does not work with these people at all, just gets to follow you as your shadow and meet them. Like it's pretty cool to like bump into someone who's responsible for like handling like some of your favorite artists. And then you meet that guy, and then he's at a convention where obviously he's going to be talking to like 3,000 people. And then I see him like 4 or 5 months later, we're in Tampa, and he's like, and then they still know who you are. And it's like, oh, well, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, the quality of person goes a long way, and those guys have it in spades.
Well, and we talked about it a little bit when we did
Who the hell am
MegaCon,
I?
not this year, but last year. It's like trauma buddies, right?
Yes.
Like a convention is very fun. Like it is fun, but it is work. None of us walk out of there and say, man, that was the easiest thing I did in my whole life. Like,
Right.
But I think because we all have a passion for the same thing, we all are working for the same goal for the most part. Like at the end of it, it's very much that thing where at the end of it, everybody gets together and has a cigar or a beer and you reminisce about what you just went through, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, what about that crazy rush at 2:00 on Saturday? Like, you just like
it's how Stephen Hogan and I got to be friends,
yeah,
and get connected on Facebook and stuff is because of MegaCon. You get to the point where like you can see like on like Sunday, everyone's got like that dead man stare where whatever they're looking at is like 6 to 7 years away from the event horizon of what they could see, and it's like, oh, I know what that guy's going through, So yeah, it's like you said, trauma bonding, and it's also a lot like what I call park buddies. You go to like Busch Gardens or you go to Disney, and there's like some couple, usually they're in line, and then you see those guys like every 35 minutes for the next 3
Yep.
days, as though you might as well have come on the damn thing together.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like, I love park buddies. You ever throw them out of line and be like, hey, you might as
So
well?
my groomsman, the tall Scottishman that was at my wedding,
Yeah.
that is how we met.
That's
Me and
what's
Daryl,
up.
who is my other groomsman, the
That's what's
shorter guy with
up.
long hair. Me and him went to E3, so a convention, a video game convention.
Mhm.
And the very first line we stood in, they were the guys right next to us, and it's an hour line, right? So you're just, what games do
Making
you like? What games,
friends.
you're all like minded. Fast forward, 4 hours, and you turn a corner, and you're like, oh man, those are those guys from this morning. Do you guys want to go have dinner since we're all leaving? Yeah. Then, oh, what time are you guys getting there tomorrow? Oh, cool. We'll just meet you at the
Same
front.
time.
And then by the end of it, we ended up we all had plans to go to Disneyland after the convention, like after your 3 days of the convention. Well, hey, you have tickets, we have tickets. Y'all just want to take one big Uber and we'll go to Disneyland. Like, does that Daryl spell the name right? He does. He spells it like that. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, Daryl. I used to spell Daryl not that way for the longest time, and it wasn't until that Daryl corrected me when he saw his name in my phone one time. He goes, "That's not how you spell it," because I used to throw a Y in there. I used to throw a Y in there. I just thought it was Daryl.
It
Daryl.
could it could be.
I think
It
I'd
could
seen it
be.
somewhere. I'd seen it somewhere in my life, and I went with it.
There's a lot of different ways you could roll with it, I feel.
All right, so I'm gonna jump into FOC. I'm gonna do DC first. If you ever need to look at your DC at DC FOC, it is very simple. You go to lunardistribution.com. You do not need to be a distributor to get to this portal of the website. This is if you just so when you load in, that's what it's gonna look like. You just scroll down to upcoming FOC, and you have this whole thing right here. This is actually how Nick used to show it off back in the day. So we're going old school. I'm going to skim through this real quick just because we've already gone an hour. Batman Dark Age 3 is there. The DC Pride. So, celebration of Rachel Pollack. From what I understand, she was a transgender creator, long time or like 90s, and she recently passed. They recently passed away. So
Oh,
they're doing a Pride like anthology using a lot of their old stuff. So that is very cool. Then you got Detective Comics. Ram V is wrapping it up there. Detective Comics 1085. That's another Scott's Collectibles homie. And I think Ram will be very happy to know that he has an AAPI cover on that book because he is of Indian descent. So that is very cool. Flash by Cy Spurrier. Let's not lie. That
dang.
John Yang cover is sick. Like sick, 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 sick. So
Yang
that's
yang.
probably what I'm getting. And then there is a Jessica Fong cover. I find it so interesting. Jessica Fong is the artist from Poison Ivy, like the
Mhm.
cover artist. That does not look like that kind of art. Like that person is obviously very versatile because it's not quite the same art style as that Poison Ivy stuff. Green Arrow issue 12 has an AAPI cover. Harley Quinn 40 has a cover by Lyrics Lee, who Leslie Lyrics Lee, that is an awesome cover. I'm not gonna lie. I know Lauren won't want it because it's not freeze on, but it's still phenomenal.
Lyrics is a close second around here.
Yep. Here we are with some like graphic novels. Mammoth by Mad Cave. So that's kind of cool. Who's writing that? Let me see. Paul Tobin, who I believe is a TV writer. I'm familiar with the name from my days of ordering comics and everything like that. So that'll be cool. There is a Pride cover for that book, which makes me think it's LGBTQ friendly. Let's see. Penguin number 10, that's been going on for a while. Power Girl number 9, that is part of the House of Brainiac story. Primer number 3, I just gotta give another shout out to Primer. It is really a great book. Pick it up while you can, and it's not an expensive book. Robo Force is making a comeback. Let's see. Suicide Squad Kill Arkham Asylum is wrapping up. That's issue 5, featuring King Shark. Young Diana, Adventures of Young Diana is really cool. And then let me also do. So what you're gonna see is there's gonna be 2 FOC dates over at Lunar. One is for DC, and one is for uh everybody else because DC FOC is on a different day. So here we are with the Independents. Drawing Blood is Kevin Eastman's like little pet project. Grommets. You got the dollar first issues coming back from Image. Department of Truth. Shout out to James Tynan and the homie Martin Simmons. I really love Martin Simmons' art style. Cannot be confused with anybody else's.
Destroyed the Dracula cover.
Yeah, his Dracula. He was the perfect person to draw Dracula. Let me just say that in the
I
sense that his
regret
art
not having
style
picked that up. Yeah.
is so creepy and just like really good. Primer Titans crossover. I do think Primer will likely end up joining a version of the Titans, probably with uh, Jaime Reyes. That hasn't been on any of this stuff here. Blue Beetle has been one of my favorite series. I let out a little bit of a tear the other day when Josh Trujillo announced that issue 12 will be the finale. They are gonna. I mean, the book is essentially getting canceled, which is sad because that is my Hispanic book, right? Like that
Yeah.
is a book I can pick up every month and say this is gonna have somebody that looks like me. It's gonna be somebody whose family is like mine. So it hurts a little bit, but I do
Sure.
think those two characters could very well end up on teams like the Titans, or maybe their own their own book. Maybe they will, since Titans is the Justice League. Maybe we will get a Teen Titans book that will feature Jaime and Primer and maybe some more teenage heroes. Like maybe that's where Damian goes after all this. So we'll see. We have King Spawn. If you did not read Midlife or How to Hero at 50, the graphic novel is about to come out. I thought that was a great book. Brian Buccoletto really killed it on that. He's got a mixture of like really cool vibes for a superhero book while also being nostalgic for the 90s, the like 90s superhero stuff, because he puts himself in the book, and I do love that. Six Fingers by Dan Waters is awesome. Universal Monsters, Creature from the Black Lagoon, issue 1 just came out. It's Ram V and Dan Waters co-writing, and I really think it's a phenomenal take on the character, especially something that doesn't have as much lore. And then World Tree, that's another James Tynan. That's with Fernando Blanco, and that is a phenomenal book. So that is DC, Image, and a few other cats over there on Lunar. But there are a few. You're not imagining it. I obviously did not talk about Image yet. So or not Image, sorry, Marvel. So Boom, Marvel, and a few other independents like Titan with your Conans and stuff, you're just not going to see on Lunar. So that's why you do still need to go to Previews World, even if you don't have an account. Let's see. First of all, cool Berserker boxes coming out from Boom. Very cool Pink Ranger cover by, is this Nakayama?
It is.
Absolutely, it's Nakayama. So, Roberto, make sure you jump on your pullbacks and add that. That is sick. I think Eric might want that.
That story is actually really good too. That book
It's
is on. Yeah,
written by Amy Jo, which is really cool too.
she's got her. She's got her hands in it. Obviously, she's got someone to help her put it
Yeah,
into a more comic
yeah.
book format. But obviously, she really wanted to get at some of that lore and tie up some loose ends and give give respect to Trini and stuff like that. And so this is actually going like super well. And dude, where is it? I got that Tyler Kirkham cover from Unknown Comics.
Oh,
Where it's him and the Red Ranger. He's all like nomaded out, dude.
Yep.
Like, oh my god, while you do this, I'm gonna dig for it. It's like right here.
So that's it from Boom for sure. For sure, you're gonna see DC is missing. That's why I show you how to get to Lunar, just so you guys your lives become a little bit easier. I am also gonna say May is Scotty Young month, so R.I.P. Manny and Carrie's wallet. But there's I think 27 Scotty Young covers. They're not all gonna be on this FOC, but let's scroll through. We got What If Alien number 4. We do have Amazing Spider-Man 51, which not only features a Disney cover, and I believe that's a Dazzler homage 100% for sure. It's also going to have a Scotty Young over here for the big Marvel event. So you got two amazing covers there. We're at Blood Hunt 3 by this point, so hopefully get your FOC numbers in by number 3, because a lot of comic book stores are going to cut, especially because they had to order number 2 before number 1 came out. They're going to cut. So FOC your number 3s if that is something you want in your life. There is a Red Band cover. The Red Band just has a little bit more violence, a little bit more gore. Where's Roy at? There's Roy. Look at that. That is sick.
So nasty, dude.
Kirkham is sick too, though.
Oh, you want to, dude? You don't even know. I got the whole thing, dude. I got the Wolverine homage. I just got a big pull from Unknown. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys. He just knows how to get art, man. That's Darren's thing, man. He
Yeah,
knows.
and he knows what we all want. Dude, I got all them Scott Williams homages.
Ooh, Sabretooth.
Sabretooth, Scout,
Ooh.
Omega Red. I got all of these. I don't even have the whole pile with me because like some of them are separated because like I've got like Nakayama or I've
Ooh,
got
that
the
rogue
Gambit
is
one, but
nice.
it's signed Logan with the
With
bone
the hat.
claws. They went on sale and I ate
Oh
it
man.
up, dude. Shout out to Nakayama one more time.
Oh, that one is always pretty. I think he works really well with blues. I don't know what it is about his blues. Like he
You're
works really
absolutely
well.
right, dude. Yeah, I went ham on Unknown Comics when they dropped that sale, bro. I was like, all right.
Blood Hunters #2, which is the tie-in to Blood Hunt. Carnage 8, we're still on Carnage. The Dazzler Carnage does have a Scotty Young, so that is that. Dazzler Omnibus for anybody that's hardcore Dazzler fan. Get Fury, that just came out this week, so #2 is on FOC. Jump on that.
That's my high hopes.
Get Fury.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to read this yet, but it's Garth Ennis. It's supposed to be it's Max. It's supposed to be hardcore.
It
I
is.
love this cover. This is my high hopes. I wish I'd gotten to it before the show, but I didn't.
Yeah. Ghost Rider also has a Scotty, so there we go. That's 3 Scotties so far. Miss Marvel Mutant Menace, obviously not selling well enough to have a. Oh no, it does have a B cover. So there you go. Good for you. So Spectacular Spider-Man has a second printing in #2. #1 also had a second printing. Star Wars is on Phantom Menace 25th anniversary variants. That's my boy Nick. There's also John Tyler Christopher action figure variant, but the Phantom Menace variants, you do not want to miss out on those. There's also a Pride variant. There's a Pride variant. Star Wars Darth Maul Black, White, and Red is onto a second print. You have High Republic that also has a Phantom Menace variant. Ultimate Black Panther 3 second printing has one cover. Ultimate Spider-Man 2 fourth printing has a Chichetto and a blank cover. Chichetto is another guy that's been working with Scott's Collectibles for a long time. Super great artist. This
Kills
is
it.
something I'm excited about. I'm not going to lie to you because I love DuckTales. Uncle Scrooge and the Infinity Dime, written by Jason Aaron. A lot of great covers. Alex Ross is doing the A. You got a
And
Frank
there's
Miller.
Torque.
You
Daryl
got
was just
Torque.
talking about Torque.
Yep. You got John Romita Jr. You got, I don't know who this is, Pastrovico, but it's awesome. You got a Momoko. You have a Ron Lim because people just keep hiring Ron Lim for some reason.
Outer space, bro.
Steve McNiven foil, which maybe it'll look better in foil. Not my go-to choice of a foil cover.
Doesn't
And
look
then
phenomenal.
and then you do have a Scotty Young, which is cool. So I'm excited about that book. That's probably the one Marvel book I'm buying here. Venom 34 has a Scotty Young cover. What If Venom #5 has a B cover that doesn't have final art just yet. Wolverine Blood Hunt. You got a Kevin Eastman cover you might not want to miss out on. And it has a Scotty Young cover. So we're now at our 4th Scotty. X-Men 35. God, is this the end? I pray to God.
Yeah, I believe 35 is the end.
Because I was going to say, this is literally a straight flipped art of the first ever cover for whatever, House of X or whatever. It's just the
I
back
believe
of
that's
them.
the last issue.
Yeah, it's the back of them instead of the front of them. Now, there is a Scotty Young of Cyclops, but I also want to point out there's a Scott Kabalsh, which is every X-Men ever on that cover, in theory. And then there also is a Russell Dodderman trading card variant. Red Sonja exists. It's still a thing. All right, Dynamite. That made my life really easy. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
I'm very happy for that. Some of these books you will probably have already seen on Lunar, but let's scroll through just in case there's any Titan. Godzilla is by IDW, so you got Godzilla Skate or Die #1.
That's pretty rad.
That is kind of cool, right? Let's see. Hunger and Dusk is a good book. That's on that's a trade paperback right now. Let's see. Initial D, that's that free comic book day book. So if you end up liking that. Into Unbeing, part 1. Who's writing this? Zach Thompson. So this is gonna be good horror sci-fi. Zach Thompson always writes some good horror sci-fi. So you have that. Life is Strange, The Mammoth. We talked about that. Minor Threats, Ninja Funk. That's Whatnot Publishing, if that's your jam. Oh, they are doing an omnibus of Savage Sword of Conan. I know that'll make some old heads really excited. There's
Yeah, that's
two
cool.
different covers, a direct market and a non-direct market. Very cool covers for that. Somna is on a hardcover. Um, TMNT Turtle Power Pack, which is a graphic novel that's probably all ages. So if your kids have been wanting to get into some turtles, this is really cool. TMMT Yosagi Yojimbo Saturday Morning Adventures. I grew up with Fox Kids and stuff like that, and I'll tell you, I remember when Yosagi showed up on the Turtles cartoon, and I was like, "Who the heck is this Samurai Rabbit?" Because I was just like not old enough to know who that Samurai Rabbit was. So like and it's the exact when you look at that A cover, that's exactly the art style I
Yeah.
remember on
Yeah.
that show on that crossover. So like that's
And
cool.
I still have that loose figure around here somewhere. I
Do
don't
you
have any of the
really?
weapons or plates, but I have just the rabbit. Yeah.
So the Valiants is going to be a 4-issue miniseries. So that'll come out after Free Comic Book Day. Um, let's see. That's it. And then there are some
Cool.
golden books. I'm going to show those off just because I know me and Roy order golden books. There's Donald Duck little golden book, and then there's Despicable Me 4 little golden book. Oh, and then me and Roy, we love these. This is a
There we go.
pre first grade, like this is kind of kindergarten level, if you will. But there is The World of Reading, Spidey and His Amazing Friends, The Ant Thief. That is a great little thing. It's $5.99. Great little thing to buy your kids if
Yep.
you want to get them into reading. It's like little golden books, but with more intention into the reading, right? Like so, it is easy for them to digest, but it is also going to teach them a smidgen. So yeah, and I'm not going to go through all the toys. You guys can go through that. That is previewsworld.com/final orders due.
Yeah.
And with that being said, dude, uh, as always, we run over time because why wouldn't we? But
Linear time is a myth.
right. Final thoughts, my friend. I'll let you start. What are your final thoughts on Free Comic Book Day, the industry, life, wisdom, pursuit of
Uh,
happiness?
Definitely get out there for Free Comic Book Day. That's a good chance to, it all ties into the other things that I say, which is the buying stuff that you don't like or being disappointed. Like, here's a chance to go out and find what does work for you and do it on a budget and be able to find what makes you happy so that you can put your money there. And you should always go out on these things because you're helping to support local business. Obviously, we're going to Blackbird to do our thing there, but there's plenty of other local comic shops across, Florida and the world at large. And they're run by hardworking people. And so you should definitely get out there and see what they're offering and try to find something that can make you happy. And which ties into what you always say, which is, collect what makes you happy. And we all know that that's your words of wisdom that I never listen to. And so that's my catchphrase is don't let deep pockets and fear have you hate comic books. You know what I mean? Like, find what you like, find what you love, invest in that. And, that's it. That's all I really got. Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes, same thing.
So I'm literally just gonna piggyback on it. I'm gonna start by just simply saying, check on your friends. I think I know for a fact the last time we did this was before Christmas because my message, my positivity was
Mm-hmm.
check on your single friends around that time of year because you don't know if they're gonna go see their folks that year, or you don't know what they might spend Christmas and Thanksgiving alone. So just always check on your friends, man. In the climate we're in, with the social media world that we're in, everybody tries to compare themselves. You see, I see friends that have, obviously I'm married now and have a house, and I'm blessed for that. But I still see friends own their own businesses. They got their kids. Grandparents are still around. You can be envious of anything, bro. That's
Absolutely.
what I want to tell people. Like anything in the world can make you envious, but try your best to not put that in your filter, like
Yeah.
if you're gonna only be envious if you know about it, right? If you see about it, so try hard to just like not put yourself in that situation, right? You don't need to see Yes, people are gonna brag, humble brag all over social media. But unless you need to be on there, maybe just don't be on there. I got two pieces of advice. One is what Lauren always says, or I think it's Lauren's mom. Comparison is the thief of joy. So
Yeah.
like, don't compare your life to somebody else's. Man, I didn't get married till I was 33. Didn't have a house until I was 33. And I saw all my friends that did it at 20 something, and I was jealous.
I'm
So
a
don't.
decade after
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, don't be, because you know what? You're not even gonna think about those jealous moments once you finally can be there. So like,
No.
just think of the journey, not the destination. And then another thing I actually just recently heard during my motivational, like while I was listening to all these motivational speakers, um, everybody said take it one day at a time, right? One day at a time. That makes sense to me. This guy broke it down even further. He said one bite at a time. He was a former Navy SEAL, and this is how he explained he got through Navy SEAL training, which is obviously like 6 months of hell. And
Intense.
he's like, I didn't look at it like, how am I gonna make it through 6 months of this? Because then that's gonna kill you. You're gonna say I can't make it through 6 months of this. What he said is, how do I make it through lunch? How
Yeah.
do I make it through making the bed today? How do I make it? So take it one bite at a time, right? No matter what you do, take your life one bite at a time. Whatever is bugging you in that moment, in that day, once you get past that moment in that day, everything can be different. So just, you got to get past that moment that day, both for your mental health, for your people's health, like one bite at a time. And then last thing, as y'all go out on Free Comic Book Day tomorrow, Saturday, May 4th, don't forget to support your local comic store. They are going to be so happy to see you in there with your kids, enjoying picking up books. But whether it's buying a comic book that has to be purchased, buying a graphic novel that has to be purchased, heck, if you go to Collective or something like that, at least buy a soda. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like support every one of these stores, because I'm gonna tell you, this is a high, what is it? A high payroll day. High payroll day for everybody. Any comic book store worth their weight is going to have everybody on staff working that day. That's naturally not how any day works in any business.
In any business, in any field. Yeah.
So it's going to be your highest payroll day. Probably, so just support them.
Absolutely.
Make a purchase of any type. Get a gift card, even if there's nothing in the building that you like. Buy a gift card. Buy it for a friend, buy it for yourself. It is essentially money that will not spoil, and you can walk back into that store in a year when the newest Marvel event have. You can go whenever, and you can
Yeah.
support them. But it's gonna have money in their till for that day, and that's gonna go a long way to any every. There is not a comic book store that is not a small business. All right, Midtown Comics, as big as we want to, that it is owned by a guy, and it's a small business. Bulletproof Comics in New York with oh my god, what is my boy's name? Hank Kwan over there. It's a small business, man. Darren running Ultimate Comics. You think Ultimate Comics is this huge thing? Darren is a single man doing this with his brother and some friends, and so just support these guys. And with that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube if this is something you enjoyed. I do believe we're going to go ahead and make a Facebook channel so you can like it, so you're not having to watch it off of my Facebook. But again, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Roy, for being here.
Always a
This has
pleasure.
been most excellent, and we're excited. We'll probably be back. I actually think my day off is Friday again next week, so as long as everything permits, we'll maybe be back Friday. We'll
Figure it
see.
out.
We'll figure it out. But take it easy, guys. Have a good one. And this has been fun. Quarter variant at a time. Out.